since I just got home and, not that I need to go to bed or anything, I thought I'd
Yeah,
come.
it's overrated.
Yeah,
So you're like
Oh,
the rest
look.
of us.
it's overrated. Sleep don't
It's
work.
overrated. Yeah.
Hello, Jeff Powers. He's following the Dalton over here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I actually
That's
talked to Dalton today. He's the only white trash out of all the nice trucks that are going to this snowmobile thing. He's in old Swanee. They're all in their pretty trucks because he's up with big money guys,
Yeah.
So they're all he's riding behind in Swanee.
That's awesome.
Did he tell me the heat? Did the heat go out?
Huh?
I don't remember. Oh, I remember him. He sent the message of filling up the oil, but I thought he said the heat went out.
Oh really? Well, I know that he was working on the video, but I don't know.
Maybe it held out.
Yeah, I don't have any idea.
I was chatting with him earlier, so.
Well, he's entertaining, Dalton. Yeah,
That he is.
Yeah.
Just shake your head sometimes. Like, at least he gets stuff done. That's what what. At least he gets it done.
Not saying anything bad about anybody, but that guy is the hardest working dude on YouTube. Works a full-time job, comes home. He's up all night long, just busting butt.
I wish I had some of his energy, man, because
he is very young, so that helps.
I don't know how old he is, but
he's like 29.
He's 29.
Really?
Yeah,
I got my oldest is 26, and he's got more energy than my oldest.
He doesn't stop.
Yeah. No. Well, you know what? I was talking to him about when I was over there, and I got a new camera, I got all this stuff, and he's like, he just flat out looked at me. He says, "Look, man, if you're going to do it, just do it. But pussyfooting around it, and you're just going to have to do it." So now,
Yep,
I've got a new camera. I was in a dock today in Sycamore, Illinois. I'm editing.
Yeah.
With this computer on my steering wheel, editing. And I got people coming out, "Hey, we're loading it this way." Yeah. And I'm like trying to get this done, and I actually got it done. It's only almost a 12-minute video that I'll have coming out maybe tomorrow or something. But
with a lot of video
doing that.
Cuts, I saw that.
1:30 in the morning the other night before the last one I just put out. 1:30 in the morning, I'm sitting there, my eyeballs, they're going like this. And I'm trying to do it, and I got to drive at 6 in the morning, and I'm like, I got to stop, but I can't. So I just kept going. Pretty soon it's 3 in the morning. I got to be up in 3 hours.
Well, that gives you something nice to do when you're sitting at the loading docks.
Yeah, but what I'd like to do in the loading docks is just lay back.
Yeah, of course.
All I do is hot shot stuff. I don't do anything where you get to drive for a little while, then sleep for 7 hours. Everything I do legally ish.
Up and back.
And, I don't have electric logs, so I don't have to worry about all that crap.
Oh, okay. Yeah, fair enough.
Will is 25 and works for a logging company. That's hard work.
Yeah. There's a lot of hardworking jobs out there, and there's a lot of jobs like every job has its own unique challenges.
Yep.
Like, I'm not going to say I had the worst job in the world. I'm an aircraft mechanic by trade, and I did my fair share of shift work and out on the ramp in the blizzards, changing tires and stuff like that, right? Trying to get the planes ready to go. And I went through all that, and now I've got the office job where, I'm work for the regulatory side of things now. So, but you paid your dues. You went through all that crap to get to, and the other side of that is I could make more money if I was overseas or on the ramp, but I was like, no, I want to spend time with the family and stuff, and and do this and everything else. So you sacrifice a little bit here to get a little bit there. It's just the way it works, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I could triple my income if I actually did go out over the road. Because I own all my stuff. I don't have a truck payment. I own everything. And, I could make a lot more doing some long hauling, but, I got I got Amber and Aiden, and Zeppelin's only 7 years old. He'll be 8 in a month, but my oldest, from say 7 to 11, I was gone.
Yeah.
I would get phone calls from his mom, and I'm in BFE, Georgia, 500 miles from home, 600 miles from home, which ain't a lot compared to some people, but I get, well, I don't know why I call you for advice on this. You're never home anyway. I was like, yeah, that's it. I quit doing that right away. I was done. I did that for a few years, and I was just like, yeah, I'm making good money. This ain't worth it. I'd rather just get by and be home.
Yep.
And
that's why I took the job I'm at now, because if I went back to Alaska, I could, of course, make 120 easy a year. And, there's all kinds of 1-year deployments I could do as a medic where I would make ridiculous amounts of money. But the whole idea of taking this job was to slow down and have more time to play with YouTube. Now I've lost my additional income source that I had. That was what was, bolstering me enough to be able to do so much. But I'm now working out those logistics, and I have the time. I just need to start making the money to be able to do it. And Dalton was telling me, he's like, you have your money. You just have to put out more videos. I'm like, all right, fine. You're not wrong. I made $40 this month. It wasn't a lot, but $40 I didn't have just for a few videos that I put out.
Well, that's more than I make.
Yeah. So I will get there. I made more in 1 month than I made in 6 months of being monetized. So I felt pretty good about that.
That's the big thing with me. I don't put stuff out consistently enough to keep the videos coming in and to keep the subs coming in. So, but it's like everyone else. I also work full time, right? I have the kids and everything else. And so I get to it when I can, and I put one out when I can, and I just don't worry about it.
And then you got the other side of this where I'm sitting here waiting on 2 things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting here waiting on 2 things for that Javelin.
Really?
And I love the 2 AMC companies, parts companies that I work with. But my God, is they so shipping. They are mom and pop setups, and I appreciate that. But it's like, I need this shit faster.
Yeah.
But
I ordered the first. I haven't ordered from Rock Auto before, and everybody talks about ordering from him. And I finally, when I was working on this Impala, realized it was not an overhaul job with some plugs and wires and that kind of thing. Turns out it's leaking head gaskets. So I ordered the rebuild kit. Well, the easiest place to get it from that included the head bolts was Rock Auto. God, they're slow. It took over a week to get that here.
Well, that's fast for me. It takes a week, at least.
Well,
to get it.
Yeah.
I expected that when I lived in Alaska, but now in Kansas, I'm like, I'm right in the middle of everything. What's it taking so long?
I want to touch on something Will said in the comments here. I don't know how old he is.
Oh, he said he was in his 20s.
But
26.
The one thing that gives me some hope is I met a lot, like recently, there's a lot of young mechanics that I met, helicopter mechanics, stuff like that. And they are hardworking. And these guys, the really young generation, the younger generation in their early 20s, they seem to pick, some of them have picked it up and start busting their butts again, right? And they go out there and they work, and they're not a stranger to it. They'll do what they need to get done to get to where they want. And it's good to see, because I have the same perception that there's a generation there that they don't know what work is.
No,
and
I agree.
I'm not saying everyone in that generation has no idea, but a lot.
There's a lot.
There's a lot.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
And I want to get to where I'm not doing 9 to 5 kind of, well, I don't work 9 to 5, but regular job kind of stuff as much. And that's why I took this job, but only to free me up to do more stuff that I actually want to do, which is just as much work, if not more.
Fox, I'm up to about 3 feet of snow now.
Snowmobile won't even go across that.
No.
If you have the right one, it will.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, it's funny.
Sean's garage. He said he's buying tools to refurbish nuclear plants. I worked at a nuclear plant for a while.
Well, that's cool.
That was not cool.
No.
Right, you ain't got a tail.
Worst job I ever had.
When I took my diving course, we were talking about being the heavy water diver, like going into, not the heavy water, but going in and repairing the nuclear plants, right? Those guys, they only get to do it like once or twice, and that's it. That's as often as you can do it. And the money they would make for that job is insane. Like you're talking, but I'm like, that's tempting, but so is having kids. So
I made at least a third more than I make now.
Yeah.
But I felt like it was draining me, emotionally and just killing my spirit. And I'm like, I don't want to do that anymore. I'd rather do this job, which is so much worse, like from a perspective of what I have to deal with. But I can still be happy. I can still, go home and not be miserable. Nuclear stuff is a different world.
For the first time in a long time, I've got a job where I'm not stressed. That was the big one. I'm not stressed. I have a steady workload, but not crazy workload. And at the end of the day, I just shut the computer down and I can go do my thing and spend time with the kids and everything else. And I'm very happy about that. I'm very lucky and fortunate, and I realize that. But like I said, I paid my dues to get there too.
Right.
I'd rather be doing what I'm doing now than I was back when I was a kid. When I was 20, from about 20 or 21 till about 25 or 26, I had 3 jobs.
Mm-hmm.
I had 4 hours between 2 of those 3 jobs to sleep. I was a mechanic at one shop. I worked at a local Rural King changing tires. And then I also worked at a transmission shop. And I would go in and at night let me take that back. I switched off. I was a mechanic. And then, during the day I ran, there's so many changes in there. From 7 a.m. till 1 or 2 p.m. when this was going on, I ran a garbage truck. I was a driver of a garbage truck. And then I'd get off there at 1 or 2 o'clock, and then I'd have about 15 minutes to run to Rural King to change tires till 9 o'clock. I'd go home. I'd sleep until like midnight or 1. And they were really lenient with me with this last job. There's this milling company in my hometown. They were packaging dog food and stack it on these delivery trailers and stuff. And I was the guy that would go in and take the dolly truck and move all the trailers in. And I'd do that till about 5 in the morning. I'd get off, hop in the car, go home, change into my garbage truck clothes, and get back on the garbage truck.
Yep.
I did that for 3 years straight. But that's my nature. I don't mean to be that guy, the TikTok, but I was Gen X, man. My dad said, you either get your ass to work or you ain't got nothing. And also I'm kicking you out of the house. So you're ain't buddy, you're gone. And I don't know. I'm a workaholic. It's like I didn't have to take that load today. I could have come home. I didn't have to go all the way up to Sycamore, but my problem is I'm like, God, dang it. I can't stop. I cannot stop working. That ain't to say that I wouldn't love to not have to drive a truck anymore.
Yeah.
And that's probably the reason the talk that I had with Dalton, he's like, and I talked to a couple of I've talked to Dalton, I've talked with Buzz, I've talked with other ones, a couple other big ones that said, if you really want it, I think you could do it, bust your ass. And I said, okay, I'll do it. And since they told me that, I've gained it's just like it's going up pretty fast. And I'm pretty happy about that.
Yep.
That's awesome, man.
But the problem is you can't stop.
Yeah, no, you can't.
Once you're going, there's no stop.
Every time I would get a run going and then stop, it's exactly what happens. All of a sudden it falls and it takes so much to get it back.
Yeah,
And it just has to be constant.
I'm a good example of that. Like I said, that's what I do is I'll get a few out, then I'll stop, and that's why I haven't climbed up. Well, that and I'm in Canada.
Hey, there's a lot of good stuff up there.
Yeah, but I'm not consistent, and I know that. And until I get to the point where I am consistently putting stuff out, it's going to lose that momentum, and it's going to take a while to get it back, and it's going to do that. But it's still steadily climbing, and
Right.
what I have is really good subs. Like I stay pretty consistent with my subscribers, and they're a lot more natural than some of these where you get these big spikes all of a sudden. And
Yep. That's
so,
what I was talking about on our show, because Ray and I were comparing our numbers, being that we share the show every other week. He's like, well, I only got this many on this show, and I got this many on this show. And I went, you realize where we were when we started this? That's, over double, if not 3 times what we did when we were starting. So our base audience is there every week. And then some shows we have a lot more. And then like the Finnegan and the Kevin shows are like way up there in views. So it just, the Kevin show, I think last I checked was over 12,000 views for just one Pontiac Power Hour. That feels pretty good.
that's awesome. Yeah, I'm in Alberta near Calgary, Will. Yeah, well, but that's just the nature of the beast. Like it's the same with any videos I put out. Is you get some videos I got 80 views on, some I've got 2,000 views on. It varies.
Yep.
The worst thing about YouTube is that you sit there and you put everything into a video. Like, oh, this one's my best one yet.
Yep.
It's the one that does like the worst.
The stupid ones seem to always just go crazy for me.
One thing I feel I'm lucky enough about is I have a shit ton of content out there. I don't have to worry, I got the ones that run and the ones that don't that I can make run. You know. But here, I'm sitting here saying no more cars, and me and Amber, no more cars. We're not buying any more cars. We ain't got a room. We ain't got nothing. Facebook Marketplace. Oh, a 66.
Yeah, exactly.
Automobile. How much? Let's just see how much I can get it for. Text message. I'm going to get a Starfire.
My buddy sends me an ad today. It's a 1970 Dart, and I'm like, oh, that's a good price. No.
Yeah.
No. You got 30 cars in the yard or around there last count. No.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I've got 18. It's like and mind you, that's including the Harleys because I can work on Harleys too.
Yeah.
So, my Harleys side by side, my pickup and her Jeep.
But
and
the big thing with me, probably half of those cars aren't mine.
You what?
I said probably half those cars in my yard aren't mine. They belong to friends of mine and stuff like that, right? But what happens when you get the big yard is everyone throws their vehicles out. Can I keep something out there? Yeah, sure. Can I keep something out there? Yeah, sure. It's like, what happened to my yard?
I didn't count the motorcycle because I only got 9 cars and 1 motorcycle. So
my problem
I'm an even 10.
I'll pull up and somebody will see me leave with the trailer like my neighbor over here. He's cool, dude. I've seen you leave with the trailer and you'll see him go.
Yeah.
Hey, we're gonna.
The beauty of having so many cars is you don't have to mow in that spot because there's a car there.
Yeah. And he came. He was out back one day. His name's Doug. He's an awesome dude. He's a metalhead. He's a fan of one of my bands too. So he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna have a surveyor come out here." Oh yeah, what for? He goes, "We're gonna put up a privacy fence." Okay. I said, tell me what you guys pick or whatever you're going to do, and whatever you guys don't do, I'll finish in my yard so y'all don't have to look at my damn cars. He goes, no, that ain't it. We're thinking about flattening this out and putting a pool back here and all this kind of stuff, and you can't see it from the road. I'm like, you don't have to lie to me. You don't have to lie to me. Oh, damn cars. But then my sister, Kelly, one of my sisters, it was her and one of my other ones. My niece lives across the street, and I got a text message the other day from her, and it said, and it was a picture of my brother-in-law Rick, who's retired body man of years. All he did was he started a dealership and then worked his way up to having his own great big business. He finally sold it to a neighbor, and I get a picture of my brother-in-law sitting in a chair with his grandson on his lap, and his other grandson and his granddaughter, my sister and my niece. They're all watching one of my videos. They had literally never watched.
Oh, really?
And she sent me a message and said, "We never sat and watched this. Number one, you're hilarious." And she said, my sister was tearing up every time I mentioned my dad because we all miss him a lot. And I constantly, it probably gets old to people if they're watching because I always mention my dad, and I don't give a rat's ass one if anyone hates it or not. But it's like that felt good. And, you know, for them, my sisters would always bitch about my cars. But now they're looking at it like, holy crap, you know, and they see the subscriber count going up. They see, you know, I'm not doing this just for pure, I don't know, selfishness. Does that sound? I mean, that's pretty harsh.
But you're not doing it for that. You're doing it because it's a passion.
Well, that and everything my dad taught me is going on the video. Yeah. It's not, and then Zeppy's in it, and you know everybody. Skylar wants to do something on that damn Mustang. You know,
Mustang, yeah.
I just really don't want to mess with that car. It's supposed to be his. He can work on it.
Yeah,
right.
That car sounds good though.
Oh yeah, it does.
Yeah. That thing, it needs gears though bad. Yeah. It's got the stock 308s with that big 268 cam in it. It's a 5-speed, but it's like it's got the stock 308s and a 7.5. So I've been looking for an 8.8 out of like a 87 to 93, and then maybe put some 373s in it, wake that sucker up. But then again, I'm not the one driving it, so I really don't give a shit.
Right.
He just drives it back and forth to work, you know. A daily driver, one of 8 in the world like it cars.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that Mustang sounds good, man. Like, that's one thing I've always liked is I've liked the exhaust notes on the Mustangs. They have a nice note to them.
That one is actually.
It doesn't beat the Pontiac 400, but you know it's pretty
right.
Cool. Yeah.
Right.
That Mustang exhaust is Hedman headers, the ball and socket style.
Yep.
The only kind I could get to fit that car. If you buy those cheapy Flotex and stuff, they will not fit a Fox body. Yeah. They say they will. They do not. I got a brand new set out there. I'll sell you. They do not work. So I bought the Hedmans, took them all apart, painted them, you know, used brake fluid to strip them.
Yep.
It came with that paint. And got them on there. And then it's to get under the cross member, one of them would fit right through the cross member. The other one is just a bit too far off to the side, so I use flex pipe. Yeah. Or down and around and up and through, and then a short piece that's got 2.5-inch exhaust on it.
Yeah.
And it goes back to old school cherry bombs, all 2.5, then right out the sides, right before the rear tires. And I did that for a reason, because when you get the tires smoking, it blows the damn smoke everywhere.
Yeah, right on. You got an interesting question down there.
Yeah. Well, I don't know enough about Coyote engines to even, but I know it has to sound better than anything Dodge ever put out.
Easy now.
If anybody hasn't noticed, I'm not much of a Mopar fan.
No.
Purple Hornies. I used to put them on my Jeeps, the old turnouts.
Mm-hmm.
304 fender well headers, and put the purple Hornies on it that stuck out.
Well, I am a Mopar guy. I like my Mopars, but I'm also the guy that will say, "It's your car. Do what you want with it."
Oh yeah,
whatever makes you happy.
Yeah.
I don't get upset like some of these guys do. Like,
Yeah, every time somebody gives me crap about what I did to mine, I just go out and go, I know what it was last year and I know what it is now. I can fire it up with the key now. So, yep, you guys can hate on it, but I'm going to be driving it along and nobody's going to care.
It's not like it's a 69 GTO or something like that, but it's just your average Pontiac, right? It doesn't.
If
really...
you ask people, they think the 63 Grand Prix is one of the greatest of all time. And I'm like, it is really cool. I didn't pick it because of that. I picked it because it was the cheaper of the two cars that the guy was going to sell. Yeah, and I just liked it better, And at the end of the day, it took a lot more work. But yeah, it does. It has style. And when you add that style with the stance, and then it's got a decent powertrain in it, it's a cool car.
It is absolutely a cool car.
And I've had a lot of offers on it.
I got is the ambulance.
Love
that's
that.
a cool car.
Everything else is just kind of its own little. All my cars are unique.
Yep.
Every single one of them is
because
unique.
cookie cutter is boring.
Nobody
wants a cookie cutter car. Nobody.
Like you talk about the LS swaps and all that. Well, I just don't prefer them. I just talk about it just to give people shit. I don't care. As long as the damn thing's on the road, I don't care. I could have just as easily got a hold of my neighbor down here. He's got a 6.0 that I'm supposed to be buying off of him. And he's got it all ready to go. I'm going to swap the cam in it and stuff. I'm not sure what I'm going to put it in yet. I do own an LS. I just don't know what I'm thinking. But more than likely, it's probably going to go in a Dodge D100.
Yep.
So I could have just as easily grabbed that engine, stuck it in that ambulance, and it would be more of a turnkey take off and drive car. But the more I thought about it, and the more I researched the car, the more I researched the engine and all the stuff, I was like, I can't do it. I can't. There's no way I am going to split up this numbers matching car. It's probably one of the rarest out there. There's a couple you'll find, but it's so damn rare. I don't even really necessarily want it driven on the street, but then I'm just turning into that garage queen guy.
There's things you can do to make that more drivable. Like I'm going to touch on something Jeff is asking me, I think, or Sean's Garage asked me, is you go to Speedmaster, that's the place where these parts are. You can get almost like the full fuel injection set up for about $500 US.
Yeah.
You can get the intake manifold, you can get the throttle body, you can get the injector rails, and you just go grab some injectors. Now you'll have to decide what type of computer you want to run that. Now that's the part that can get expensive. You can do the Holly, or if you have the knowledge and the means, you can use an OBD1 set up from an old 92 GM truck or something like that and flash the ROM. I was even looking at doing taking an LS computer and running it, so you can fuel inject that engine without actually wrecking it, right? And the other thing you can do is maybe put an overdrive transmission in it, and now you have that drivability, that reliability, without actually modifying the car to something it really isn't.
Right.
And you can always put it back if that really is a desire, right? You don't have to do the cut it up and throw an LS in it. There's ways to make stuff modern without replacing.
Right. Whenever I was thinking, when this engine in this Javelin died, I started looking at price on building this 304, and I was like, you got to be kidding me that this thing is, because, and this was before I knew I had to have pistons. Okay. So I'm thinking, why would I spend all this damn money on this puny ass little 304? If I was going to do that, I'd just steal one out of the Jeep I got in the back. It's got 6,000 miles on it. I'll just throw it in there, put this one in the corner. But then I thought, well, content. So I was like, okay, I'll build the 304. But then I also thought, well, I know where there's two 360s sitting. I could build one of them up for the same price, and they'll actually have some HPs, some torque. Well, 304 is pretty torquey anyway, but I was like, man, they can make a fuel injection system that matches they got all that. I was like, man, I could do that. But then I thought, no, if it wasn't for such a rare damn car, I probably would have. because when we were on Power Tour, there was only one other Javelin that did the long haul, and it was completely street rodded with an LS swap in it.
Right.
And I did it on a obviously clapped out 304 old school 74 V8. And I don't know how I did it, but we did it.
Javy's great. I love that car. And again, that was cool that I got to have a ride in it. Thank you for that. That thing's awesome.
I've actually started getting a lot of questions on that. They're like, when they saw me, watch that video of mine, I'm putting the cam in. There's no thrust plate. There's no hold in bolts. There's no nothing. That cam just sits in there. And that last freaking cam bearing is huge. It's tapered all the way back. And then that last one's just a monster. And it's such a messed up setup where your cam goes in, then you got your fuel pump eccentric, or your cam, and then your timing chain, fuel pump eccentric, and then your actual drive gear for your distributor. Distributor comes through the timing chain or timing cover, which is mounted to it, comes down, mounts with the oil pump. That is what keeps the camshaft from
walking.
That's why this happened. Because the bearings, see, I talk about it in my later videos. Everybody said, "Oh, you can't use that HEI in there. You can't use that HEI in there." And I seen a big YouTuber that just put a 318 in an old cop car, and he actually went and bought a timing chain guide tightener. And I messaged him and I said, if you need to put a timing chain guide on a 360, 318 Mopar, your bearings are shot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because once those bearings start going either way, that's what I knew something was wrong with this Javelin. Before Power Tour, I put a brand new Cloyd's timing chain and gear set on that thing, and you could still move it a friggin' inch. Brand new.
Oh, wow.
And then when I took them out, I showed them on that video there. They were gone. There was nothing. Even the damn camshaft itself on the, where they ride was gone. I don't know how the hell thing had oil pressure. It ran at 60 pounds of oil pressure and had no bearings left in it at all.
I do have one complaint about that video.
Which one?
The one with cam bearings. And you not showing how you put them in. Just put the disclaimer up.
I like how you polish them, tap it back into place.
I'm just giving you a hard time, Ira.
Yeah, I had somebody really give me a hard time about that. I was like, you know what? If you're going to build an engine and you've never done it, you need to go to a machine shop and you need
That's something I won't tackle. I won't do the cam bearings. It's just
if I had a running engine, I would consider it. But like everything that I've played with so far has been basically lost causes. That's what I do at Buff's Garage. I take the crap nobody else wants. So that's why I dumped it off at Ed's, and I'm pretty sure Ed's going to tell me, nope. But he also told me it'd be done by May, so we'll see.
But yeah, when it comes to that camshaft thing, there's like, why don't you show it's some guy said, and I already knew this because I was taught by a machine shop and a master mechanic how to do it, both of them. They both did it friggin' different.
Yeah.
So I just kind of do it my own way. I used to have a really nice snap-on cam bearing tool.
Yeah.
And I sold it or something because I wasn't building engines anymore. And the one I use is right off of Amazon. It's like $70. But the thing to people, they say, oh, that's entry-level machine shop stuff.
Yeah, no, that's what takes your engine out if you mess it up.
It is. Okay, the one dude that's what he does, but how many has he done?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what took out my 6-liter cam bearing.
AMC's oddball, the oil
they're on the side, aren't they?
They're on the side of the engine. It ain't like when you're on a Chevy or a Ford or Oldsmobile, any of them, where you can put your light down in there and you can look down that hole and make sure it's lined up. You can't do that. You actually have to get in there, and basically what I do, I can tell you this part, I'll get in there with anything, a piece of paper or something, and I know where everything's at. There's the center. I'll go over to it and I'll mark with a marker on that center. And then you got to tap her when you're getting her down in there. You got to keep your eyeball on that hole to make sure you're as close to the middle ground as you can be. That's it. That's all you can do on that AMC.
And hope you're close.
You got to get it as close. But luckily, they have it's a great big slot in there. So, I mean, you got plenty of room. And spoiler alert, it runs and it cold idle at 65 PSI. So, I mean, you can tell right away if your cam bearings are not right, your oil pressure is gone. There is no oil pressure. It'll suck it down to nothing, or it can be too high if it's not getting oil through.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I don't want to show, because you can clap together an engine like I do, the filling station rebuild. I've seen people do it my entire life, all the way back to the 70s. I watched people doing this stuff. And they didn't have dingle ball homes back then. I mean, they may have, but most shops didn't have them. They had the old stone. Half of them were cracked off. Guy would stand there and he'd just dunk her in a bucket of oil and whoa,
Yeah.
They didn't have this grit and this grit and this grit to make sure you get this. No, it was boom, boom, boom. You freaking got you a piece of emery cloth or mechanics tape with a shoestring on the thing. You might plastic age them. And you stick it back together and say, all right, sir, come get your car. It'll be back. It'll be done in the morning. That's all I'm doing on this. Can I do all the other shit? I have a cam dial. I have all all the magnetic dial crap. I have all that stuff. But you know what? If I'm going to do it that way, why am I going to sit here and I'm going to build a race engine or something specific. Yeah. I didn't plastic gauge one damn thing on that Pontiac. It runs great. But that's also because I trust my machine shop. When he says crank is good, okay, what size bearings do I need? This and this. All right, I'll order them up and I go. I just kind of trust. I may trust that engine tech company, but they've never failed me. I may trust them a little bit too much.
Well, I mean, when we did the Mustang motor, I checked a few of the things when we got it back, just to make sure, right? Because we hadn't really worked with the shop before. Like, for the most part, I'm going to trust the machine shop, but I always check a couple things just to make sure we didn't get some bad parts or something like that, and the bearings are the wrong size or something stupid like that. Because you don't know with parts nowadays. They're so. A lot of the parts are so questionable now.
The $6 spark plug, yeah. In the description I put, have you seen the price? Like $6 spark plug? Yeah. Actually, the ones for the Javelin, because I use AC Delco and everything, even my Ford engines. Most of the time, Motorcraft still makes a good plug, but they're expensive. But they're all expensive now. It was R45 XLS for that damn motor was $645 a piece, and I have a discount. That was with my discount, and they didn't even have them in stock. They had to order them.
Proof.
I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, it's crazy.
We got the auto lights. No. They still got the screw off top.
Well, it's funny because on my Hemis, I like modern Hemi here, not the 426 Hemi or older, but on the Hemis, I will not run the fancy plugs. I only run the copper core champions, and that's it. And I've never had an issue. You might have to change them a little bit more often, but the Hemis do not like the iridiums and stuff. Like the newer ones come with different plugs now, but for a long time there, anytime I found a Hemi that was running rough, I would check the plugs, and sure enough, there'd be like a platinum or iridium plug or something stupid like that in there. Just change them out to copper cores and smooth right out.
See, I also switching that car to HEI. I bet I went through 3 sets of plugs whenever I first switched that thing to HEI because I was trying to find just the right gap.
Yeah.
Because those are set up for 35 gap with a points ignition. So I went through everyone. There was people on Google, they're all right. And everybody had a different answer for that, or like, well, you run it up to 50, you run it to 50 is kind of wide. Even
50 is pretty wide. I would do like 45,
I was like,
40, 45, somewhere's in that range.
Yeah, I put it at 40. It was actually 40 is where about. I checked the plugs on this one, but I've also got carburetor issues. There's a cussing discuss.
I've seen you on carburetors.
I got it running, and I'm telling you right now, the video of me firing that thing off for the first time is the most hilarious shit you've ever going to see, because everything that could go wrong went wrong, and it still survived it. I'm just telling you that right now. I was watching it I was pre-watching it. I haven't edited it yet, but I was sitting there just, it started right up. Boom. Yeah. No problem. No smoke. No nothing. This thing fired right off. It runs great, but it's a whole thing. The cuss and discuss is I was on the phone for an hour and a half with Edelbrock on hold.
Ouch.
Yeah, and all I wanted to do was talk to the manufacturers of the carb I have on it with the motor. I know what carburetor size CFM I should have on that car. I'm a little big, but I wanted to talk with the company who manufacturs them to say, what do you think? Because the whole engine's Edelbrock.
Yeah.
The carb, the intake, the cop cams is Edelbrock.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want to talk to the man. I hung up. I'm like, you sons of bitches. But that thing should have like a 525 to 570 on it with the cam it has. And I got a 600 on it, but I think whenever that motor said, I ain't playing no more, and it backfired and did all kinds of stuff, I'm thinking something in that carb might have got messed up. So I'm probably going to have to rebuild it.
Well,
not a big deal.
With carbs, there's a little bit of, can you really go too oversized on a carb if you have it jetted right and everything else? It's just an air, how much air it lets in, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, you can get some performance issues, sure, but a little bit bigger carb's not going to hurt you, I don't think, as long as it's jetted right.
Whiny. No, that would mean that you do not have your pinion set up. That'd be my guess, or the pinion and the question he's asking. Right. That's shimming, and it's alignment.
It's your mesh between your pinion and your ring gear.
And it could be either one. It could be this way or this way.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it is, the key is swap. Like if it was an old setup, you could have your pinion bearing making noise. And I know this from experience. I've got 2 vehicles that have that exact issue, but they're both old. Right. They're both old, and that's the issue. But if it's a new swap, then like they said, you got to go in there and you got to paint your gears and get your setup right. I suck at it, but I know how to do it.
That too. I just don't want to.
Right. It sucks. It's what it is.
Wire wheel on bearings. No, I do not. I have, however, used emery cloth on bearings.
He's talking about the video. The
I know.
One video.
Yeah.
But I have used emery cloth on bearings before.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because they had an edge that I didn't approve of on one side, or here's another one. I put my cam bearings in. You get them in there, no matter what you do, there's going to be a lip either under or over, and I will take emery cloth and I'll go in there on the edge of that bearing and just swipe down and out to get it so it's done. So it's smooth to the block.
I'll use some white Scotch-Brite on them once in a while and stuff like that too. Yeah.
The only thing I do to new bearings usually is I'll spray them down with brake clean, wipe them off with a brand new clean rag before I put them in, because they come with this crap on them from the factory. and I don't think it's a good idea to leave them on there.
Well, no, and that's what I've used to take that stuff off is that white memory or that white Scotch Brite, just to take that stuff off of them from the factory.
I just watched Dan DD Speed Shop do that 350 small block. You guys see that video?
I haven't watched that one yet. No.
He just piss off everybody. He's so good at this too. But I've done this so many times. I actually had a stone hone, with only like a 2-inch stone set up on it. And say your engine's locked up and you get the heads off of it and you finally get it to roll backwards and there's a lip where the rust is. I'll just throw a bunch of, WD-40 or whatever down in there, cutting oil of some kind, and I'll run that sucker down in there and I'll clean them up and just push it through it. And then just make sure you oil them down good or WD-40 them down. And he did it. And God damn, he's got the internet blowed up.
Oh, really?
Hell, I put a thing on. I've done this a million times. This is how my dad got old tractors running that were sitting for 70 years.
That 68 Chev I have with 307, that thing was locked solid. I just dumped a bunch of ATF down the cylinders, let it soak. And then the problem is it didn't have the crank nut on it because the engine's old enough that it was just the press-on balancer. So what I did is I made a plate that I could bolt onto the dampener and use the 3 bolts for the pulley.
Yeah.
And then I was hanging off of the breaker bar, and my buddy's hitting the starter, and we could get it to just go a little bit, right? Like, I don't care about this engine. Let's just get it through. That thing runs like a freaking top.
Yeah. There's all that little stuff, and you do that, and you show it on your video, and you get all kinds of hate. And it's it's working.
Right.
Yeah.
It works.
It's like, where's your project? Oh, it's still on blocks, and it has been for 5 years? Yeah. This one runs.
I came from a farming community, and you did what you could to get it running. It didn't matter what it was, it ran. It don't matter if it ran for 50 more hours. Sometimes you just needed a couple more hours of that old tractor to go. And your farm truck, your grain truck. So I've used marbles. You know what I
don't know what's in it, but I've used it.
It's a mystery.
Yeah. It's a mystery.
I actually found out over the years of all my junkyard engines that I find. And if it's not too bad, you can use marbles or tranny fluid, non-binary shift juice. Whatever you want. But the main thing that I've always been able to take just about any motor, it's always worked. I'll take all my old engine oil.
Okay.
I'll fill the cylinders. I'll fill it through the intake. I'll fill it in the crankcase until she's running out the damn carburetor. Just put a drip pan in it, let it sit for about a week.
Yep.
Then drain it out. It's nasty, but they'll come loose. I don't know why that works, but there's
all sorts of tricks. I've heard of pumping grease in the cylinders. I've heard of diesel fuel will loosen them up. Thinner, hey, it's whatever works to get the dang thing loosened up and turning, right?
Right.
Anymore, I just tear the goddamn motor apart.
Yeah.
I literally just I'm not dealing with this. I'll just take it apart, and that opens up a whole damn can of worms.
Yep.
I'm the kind of person that if I were to get something running, I'm better off not knowing. Let's just make it rotate, throw gas in it.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. And when it starts knocking and pinging, like we said, you got it at least that long. You ran for a bit.
Yeah, well, it's all how much you invest into it too, right? If you've got $200 into the motor, engine, sorry, who cares?
No, it's motor.
It's motor. Is it?
Actually,
but
depends on who you talk to.
It depends on who you talk to. But if you got like a $200 into it and it's just get the car going, or $100 into it, right? Now, if it's a $10,000 one, well, yeah, you're gonna be a little more cautious on it.
But that's the same with you got an old farm truck versus a $10,000 paint job. You don't care if you bang up your old farm truck or run it through the trees, but if you got a $10,000 paint job, you're going to go out and wipe it down with a baby diaper every so often. Then you're going to be afraid to drive it.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because that 67 Mustang that I work on the channel with belongs to a buddy of mine. It's the one we took down to Arkansas. He bought that car with the intention to make it a daily driver because he just likes the classic car and he didn't want to have something that was too nice. And then he goes and
Right.
puts a nice paint job on it, and he's terrified to drive it. Right? I'm like, you idiot.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
I
we
don't
talked
see
about
anything
that
like
today, and I said, dude, you gotta get over it. That car, you don't have that much into it. There's plenty into it, but it doesn't have that much into it. But you bought it for a daily driver, and yeah, it looks really sharp. It's nice. You got a couple nicks and scratches in it now. Just go enjoy it. That was the whole intent of that car.
Right.
You got the '69 Mach 1 that I'm putting together for you. That's your baby car. That's the one that you can go out enjoy on the nice days and just go enjoy the '67, man. Just go drive it.
Yeah, I always tell people if I can't set a beer on the hood and not worry about it, or everybody leaning against my car, I don't want it because that just want I don't have anywhere to put. I mean, I'd have to. Oh God, could you imagine the size of the shop I'd have to put all these cars if they were like bit shine?
Like an airplane hangar.
Don't get me wrong. I like having my nice cars too and keeping them nice, but at the same time, I've gotten more and more over that, and I just want something because if you're going for that pristine car, you'll never get the darn thing on the road.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what? Just get it together, get it driving, and then pick away at it. And if it ends up being a pristine car in the end, great. But just get the darn thing on the road and enjoy it.
That's, I got I got hell for Blanche the other day. I pulled up to a gas station. I run 93 in that thing because that big ass cam. I wasn't even about. It gets enough spark knock the way it is. So I'm
Right.
like sitting there fueling, and this guy goes, "Hey, your paint's falling off." I said, "What? Your paint's falling off?" And I went to the other side, right above the passenger side, the side pipe, the passenger side, right up here in the front behind the rear wheel. That gel coat is actually hanging off.
Oh, really?
So I bought some 3M spray
Yeah,
adhesive. I'm just gonna spray it on there.
To get back on there.
I'll make
exactly.
sure I make a video of that. That'll go over good.
Yeah.
There you
No,
Fixed. But I got like my Cutlass is my favorite car. That thing, if you ever get a chance to see it in person, if I get to bring it to No Name Nationals, that thing is horrible on the outside. Frame's good, floor's good, but the body, it's been flipped on its side, on its roof, it's been burnt, it's been banged on. The one fender don't even fit the door right. I took a pry bar. This is pre YouTube. Took a pry bar, stuck it in there, and just rammed it over so it would move, so I could get the door open. Every time the handle on the inside driver don't work. Easy fix. I've never taken the panels off of it. It literally looks, other than the wheels, and of course I put a motor and trans in it. The wheels, motor and trans, and the carpet and the front seats is all I've put in that car. I have not touched it. It does need a different rear end though. It's got the Type O, and it's one wheel peel.
yeah.
If you get them spinning fast enough, which don't take much with a big 455, but you get the one wheel going, the other one will start after a while.
Yep.
I need to get a posi track. That thing probably be pretty scary if I put some gears in it. It's pretty wild. But that's my favorite car because the hood don't even match. It's got where a tree fell on it. It's got where I don't have to worry about it. I can just go out there, put a battery in it, start up, take off.
Yep.
The Javelin's kind of the same way. I mean, now it's got a brand new engine, but I'm going to attempt.
The Javy's pretty nice, honestly. Like it's
Well,
a few little issues here or there, but I
the
mean,
rust has gotten worse
has it?
on the fender, yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm going to attempt to do a shade tree, just I have the paint code, and I'm thinking I can go up to the local parts store and they can get me a can of it so I can, fill it.
And that's the thing. Like my '78 Trans Am, I still love that car, but I just don't drive it because it just got too rough. And oh no, this thing's too rough. I don't want to be out in it
Right.
and stuff like that. And now I'm starting to say, you know what? I think I'm just going to do the mechanical, make sure it's safe to drive, fix a few other things on it, and I can pick away at the bodywork. I want to start driving this car again. And I mean, the latest video is me taking my son out and teaching him how to drive a standard.
Yeah.
And the nice thing about that car is I taught a lot of people how to drive a standard in that car, because it's very easy in that car, because that Pontiac has so much low end torque. It's actually a little difficult to stall it.
Right.
You know, if you get enough clutch control, you just let it out slow enough, it'll just start moving, right? You don't need to give it the gas.
Yeah. This here, if you noticed in my videos, there's a custom 1998 Fat Boy sitting in my front yard that I was going to cover, and I was going to throw in a garage or in the shed. I was like, whatever. I don't want to deal with it. It'll spray off. Little super clean, and the pressure washer, she'll come right out.
Well, my motorcycle is sitting in my basement.
Mine's in under a tarp, but it doesn't matter. The water's running right through it.
Shop. I had a bunch of engine work done to it. My full dresser or whatever I have. I've got 3 Harleys. I've got my mom's Sportster that I had refurbished-ish. It runs good. And my Fat Boy, the yellow one that's in my videos. And then I've got a Electric Glide Classic. Oh, my God.
Oh, there's John.
Look at that guy.
Well, fellers, I'm going to bow out for now, but I will catch up to you in a little bit.
Hell, I was figuring I'd be on for about an hour, so.
Yeah, we're pretty much at the hour mark, and I think I don't know, we're all a little tired tonight, it seems.
I'm exhausted.
I got a video to put out.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
I got to upload a video, and it'll be out tomorrow. Then
I'm halfway through a 48, so I'm getting there, but
yeah,
I'm tired.
Fair enough, Buff.
All right, see you guys.
Yeah.
Good to see you, man. Yeah, I got to get this one video out, and then I got to start editing again.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, Irish. I enjoy watching the progress on the Javi. So
this one, it's not the Javi. It's the motor for the square body. It's me and
is it? Oh, that'd be good.
Mine. He's actually a guitar player in the band I play in, the Nashville recording artist band guy, and he's as white trash redneck as it comes. It's literally 12 minutes long, because it would have taken forever, because it took us a while to get it out of there, because it's a 72. It had never been apart. So and it's a 4-speed.
Yeah.
So in order to get that big block out of there, you got to, and I didn't realize this until I got under it, you got to take the whole damn motor mount assembly out and pull the motor forward to get it out of that.
Oh, out of the cradle area.
Out of the clutch and the pilot bearing.
Yeah.
If you can't get you can't raise it up enough to get the clamshells up over the,
Well, does it have the ball that threads into the side of the block for the
Yeah, and there was no way to get that out of there. We tried everything. It's like, yeah, well, okay, we're gonna have to take these off.
Yeah.
And he's funny. He's just redneck funny.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that.
But and he cusses worse than me. So it's beep 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 beep. beep. if I put the whole video out, it'd be just one long.
Yeah.
But
yeah, you can't do that as much anymore, unfortunately.
No, I've already been kind of hit by it on a couple of them. Luckily, I've been able to whenever they say it's limited monetization or whatever, I'll appeal it and they'll let it go.
Yeah.
It just something in the.
Honestly, I have a bit of an issue with it, because as a consumer, I want to see that person's personality, and if I'm fine with the cussing and the swearing and whatever, that's on me, right? Why penalize the creator for it? I don't like. It's not like you're not doing illegal stuff. You're just using some foul language, but whatever. Right. I mean, I don't have it in my videos. That's just not my personality for the most part.
I think what they look for is if you're using it in a demeaning and mean way. If you're like, you stupid, going off and all that. I don't do any of that. I mean, it sounds like it, but I'm literally cursing at an inanimate object.
Yeah, exactly.
If anything, it's like, what an idiot.
Exactly. It's the whole scene with the carburetor. That was hilarious. The how you got so mad at the carb and eventually threw it out. That was an entertaining video. And and some of these channels, that was the appeal, like Sean saying, zip ties and bias supplies. You watched his channel just because catch his personality and
oh God, the guys
like you go there just for the entertainment of how he talks. It's not because he's got really interesting project. Most of the time he's just messing up his Ford trucks, right?
Well,
or making fun of his dog. But
I'll go back because I'll look at other channels to get like inspiration of how I want to work things. Most of the stuff I do, it's not scripted. That's just me. But I'll be like, oh, that's pretty neat. So I went back and I actually watched some of Derek's stuff.
Yeah.
Old Derek stuff. Like
the
one he's putting a damn window motor in his Suburban.
Yeah.
He's cussing up a storm.
Yeah. Well,
and now, of course, now he's wide audience kids, I get it. But
if you actually, well, you've met me in person, but if you actually came out and worked in the shop with me, like with my buddy Chris and I'd probably get arrested for with how we get going sometimes. It's nowadays it's just like, but that's what you're doing between you and your buddies. You're giving each other such a hard time sometimes. And that's just the nature of it. But I don't put it on film.
Well, Dalton cut out when we were working together on that Chevy. He cut out. There was a lot. There was one time I was hoping it was going to be in there, but I walk in. It's the first scene you see me with, and I'm walking in, and I was like, so I thought you was going to have like this whole cracker group of people coming in here to help. And he goes, no. And you see JD go like this. He goes, got him. And I said, well, I guess you just get an old cracker that's just a little salty sometimes. He freaking did put it in there. I was like, damn it, that was a good one. But I cut out a bunch. Like this new one that's coming out, I'm not kidding. It's 11 minutes long. And I sent the picture of all the cuts in it. I'll send it to you. It is, I'm sitting there going, huh, and my eyeballs hurt because you're sitting there cut, move, cut, move.
Yeah.
I'm like,
oh boy.
I think I got it. And I still ain't pre-approved myself. I always watch the video before I put it out. And I haven't done that. I got to do that yet tonight. And then I'll upload it. And then I'll look at it and get the thumbnail. And it's
I never found you to be that bad, honestly. Like your videos, I found you to be just perfectly normal how you would be working on stuff. That's how most people talk. When you're sitting there wrenching, right? For the most part, we could say you have trucker mouth sometimes, but
it's almost as bad as sailor mouth without all the material.
It's almost, but I mean, you should see how the aircraft guys get going sometimes.
Oh, I can imagine. I have 2 cousins, females, that are aircraft mechanics.
Oh, they're probably the worst. I meet
them sometimes, like once a year, and they are every word. And they're all prim and proper, and they got real nice clothes on. You wouldn't think that they talk like that. Good God!
Oh, I've worked with a couple. I've worked with a couple of female AMEs or AMPs down there, I guess they're called. And they can outswear me. Yeah, they can string some. There's a couple of them where really put some good ones together. I found it entertaining, but
I've still got an uncle. He's retired Air Force, and he's a mechanic. He works in Florida with his daughters down there. They work at 2 different companies, but he restores old aircraft now for people in this shop. Just kind of does it on the side. And supposedly maybe he might have me an engine I might be going to Florida to pick up. An Allison.
Oh, cool.
And it's an old P40 engine.
Oh.
The problem is he has to talk the shop out of letting me have it.
Okay.
If I'm going to work on one of those, I'm going to have a whole damn thing made to put one of those on.
Yep.
Because they are huge.
Yes, they are.
Heavy, loud, and expensive.
Oh, at least the cylinders come off.
It runs.
Yeah, you can just take the cylinders off. It's all good.
And I couldn't imagine I put that in like a Cadillac or something like that. Could you imagine? Need something with a nose on her, you know?
Well, when I went to school,
javelin, actually.
Yeah, when I went to school, we had one aircraft that had a radial engine that we were allowed to run. And up here we call it Harvard. Down there it's called the Texan. And we got to fire that thing up, and that thing was so cool, man, because you'd hear the one cylinder light off. It'd be the starter would go, and you get the poof, 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 and off it would fire. And that thing, it spitting flames out and everything else. Like, it was just awesome. I love starting that. Just awesome.
I got introduced to those motors, especially the Rolls-Royce Merlin.
Oh,
my dad was in the Air Force, and he was a mechanic. He worked on airplanes and all that crap up in Alaska, across from the Bering Strait, I think it's called, or whatever, from Russia during the Cold War and the Korean War.
Yeah.
And they still use some P-51 Mustangs and stuff, and they would come flying in, shit flying off of them, and 6 out of 12 cylinders running, and they would jump in that thing and start ripping apart, rebuild that engine in just a matter of time.
Yeah.
Because they really didn't have the jets yet. Everybody else was starting to get in the jets. And but yeah, he would rebuild them, and he said he just absolutely loved those motors. He said they
were awesome.
They would fly upside down. They'd fly any way you need it, and they would literally come down to 6 to 8 cylinders and keep the plane
in the air. Yeah,
in the air.
Well, they were also,
but they kept them in the air.
The Achilles heel to that was that they were liquid cooled, right?
Yeah,
that was their big drawback, but they were also supercharged. So
yeah.
I mean,
but I always like we have tractor pulls here, and people got those dual Allison engine pulling tractors. God, they take off, and I like to be right in the middle of the field, because when that thing really hits its power band of RPM, those 24 cylinders going off, your whole body just starts shaking. You're just like, because it's so much horsepower and so much torque, especially.
Yeah, John's kind of hitting the nail on the. Sorry, I'm getting tired. I can't even put a phrase together anymore. Hitting the nail on the head, right? I think that it might be going that way.
Huh.
Cool.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So Sean's comment there is what I was
looking at. The seat belts in the 57 truck. That's awesome.
What are seat belts? Well, I think I am going to go inside. I've had enough. I literally ran through the door, set my computer up, went up, said hi, and come back out. So
yeah, it's all good, man. Good to call. I just like joining you and having a discussion.
Yeah, no, it was great. I was about to text you because I was like, hey, you want to run this thing till I get in the door? Because I wasn't sure. I literally got here with 6 minutes to go. I was like,
oh, you're all good.
Yeah, but yeah, I'll have a new video out tomorrow. It's about 11 minutes long. It's definitely right up my alley.
Yeah, right on. John's giving you a little bit of advice on what a seatbelt is.
Oh, we were supposed to have those?
Apparently.
That Scott's everything I has seatbelts. For the people watching, don't come after me. I got seatbelts in all my cars. But I got to go.
Yep. Me too. We'll talk to you later. Thanks
See you
everyone in the
guys.
chat. Have a good night.
See ya.